Bachmann from the 6th District of Minnesota. We're here today to talk about the Pigford settlement. This was referenced as recently by the President of the United States in his press conference on September 10th on Friday, and then also last week there's a press conference that was done by several of our colleagues over in the United States Senate calling for a quick settlement of the Pigford issue. We also agree that we want to make sure that there is a quick and timely settlement made, and that those who have truly and wrongly been discriminated against by the USDA do receive their just and fair settlement. We believe that there are actual instances of discrimination that occurred by the USDA, and they must be compensated. Where our concern lies is in the area of what appears to be massive and widespread fraud and abuse of the Pigford process. This is what we're concerned about. To that end, we know of people who are from the USDA, from the FBI, who are whistleblowers, who have comments that they would like to be able to say to the United States Congress. And I think it's important, and we call specifically the Attorney General Eric Holder to hold a full and complete investigation on the Pigford 1 and Pigford 2 settlement of the claims. It appears again that there is potentially massive fraud by trial lawyers who are involved in this, and also by some claimants who may not deserve this money and may not qualify under this money. There are again witnesses who are willing to come forward and testify, whistleblowers if you will. We have examples of some of those. We also have a statement from the former Ag Secretary, Ed Schaefer, and he has asked if we would read this in his absence today. He had hoped that he could be here with us, and I'll read that statement now. After my nomination and subsequent unanimous confirmation as Secretary of the USDA, I set about to learn as much about the department as fast as I could. One initial briefing was by the Undersecretary for Civil Rights. Included was a brief on several class lawsuits against the department alleging discrimination against minority farmers. Also, it was noted that there were allegations of the department dragging its feet and getting claims accredited and paid for the court-ordered settlement of Pigford litigation. I soon had several visits from organizations representing black farmers urging me to settle all claims quickly. I was concerned about the department's handling of discrimination claims and asked that the paperwork be expedited. It was then that I was made aware that there were possibly many claims that were fraudulent, and much due diligence was warranted. Understanding that validation and verification of the claims slowed down the process, it was felt that since taxpayer money was at stake, that investigations into the propriety of claims were prudent and warranted. I was surprised that over $1 billion had already been distributed to aggrieved farmers, and there were still so many open applications. As you may recall, the litigants in the original Pigford 1 filing on both sides of the claim agreed that there's a potential pool of 1,000 to 4,000 litigants. As of the first Pigford filing, there were 22,000 filings. 64% of those claims were awarded. Now, as you may know, there are 94,000 claims that are filed in the Pigford settlement, but according to the Bureau of Census, there were originally a total of black farmers in the United States of 33,000 black farmers, which again asks the question of fraud. But I felt that it was necessary to spend the time and money to validate these claims. While some claimed that a settlement on all claims would be in the best interest of the department, I thought it would simply be irresponsible to overlook allegations of fraud and abuse because of our responsibility to spend taxpayer dollars wisely and efficiently. A $100 million appropriation was included in the 2007 Farm Bill, which was signed and passed in June of 2008, to be used to settle claims. This money was needed to validate and verify the claims, as there was a huge backlog of pending cases, and neither the USDA nor the Department of Justice had the budget flexibility to look at each application and the circumstances to ascertain the validity of the claim. The process would be time-consuming and expensive, but we owed it to the taxpayers. I am concerned that the legislative validation process has now been overlooked, and our government has agreed to settle all claims without proper investigation of the potential fraud and abuse. This is unfair to those who are truly discriminated against and have legitimate claims against the USDA. These farmers deserve to know that their cases were heard and the judgment was in their favor. But by allowing some claimants to get paid that were never engaged in farming, or were not in fact discriminated against diminishes the legitimacy of those who were. Inappropriate payments will also sour taxpayer attitudes against our government. I've heard that Congress is considering spending $8 to $10 billion of taxpayer money to pay any claim of discrimination against the government, whether legitimate or not. This rush to judgment is totally unfair to all taxpayers, including the minorities who are truly discriminated against. I urge that our government step back and institute a procedure to properly investigate each claim to see if it is appropriate or not. The allegations of fraud and abuse must be addressed if we are going to assure our citizens that their government is pursuing equal justice for all. And now, Steve King of Iowa.